Pay zero money down with 0% interest for up to 18 months. Call Bath Planet today.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services.
Wainwright's here to help. Top-notch client service.
Winning clients the most money possible for 18-wheeler accidents.
Don't wait. Call 8. Respect. Justice. Demand it. Wainwright Injury Lawyers.
We're a small community, and we'll need your prayers to get us through this.
I'd hoped when I became president I would not have to do this again. Another massacre. How many scores of little children who witness what happened see their friends die as if they're on a battlefield, for God's sake? They'll live with the rest of their lives.
Today on KVUE News Midday, the world grieves with a small Uvalde, Texas community after a gunman shot and killed 21 people at an elementary school, 19 of them children. We appreciate you joining us on KVUE News Midday. I'm Jenny Lee. Now we have team coverage from Uvalde. Pepper is live at the Robb Elementary School where the shooting happened. KVUE's Bryce Newberry and Natalie Haddad also are in Uvalde. We'll get to them in just a moment. But first, let's bring in Quita Culpepper. And Quita, this is just such a terrible story. What is the atmosphere right now this morning?
Well, Jenny, as you can imagine, it is a very somber scene out here this morning. We've had helicopters flying overhead a little bit this morning, and also we've just heard from many in the community as well. A lot of people have been showing up. Let me move aside so I can show you right now. They've been coming here and bringing flowers. One woman just bought 19 balloons, and they're laying a lot of these tributes at the elementary school sign there in memory of the victims. And you can see there's also a very large police and law enforcement presence here as well. And that, of course, is going to be here for quite a long time. And let me bring in now my colleague, Tony Polhetsky. Tony, you got here yesterday. You were able to speak with so many people in this small town, this very close-knit community. I can only imagine the grief and the rage that they are feeling today.
Quita, not only here at the scene, but also beginning at sunrise this morning, I was at the convention center, the Civic Center here. That was just a polling location for Tuesday's runoff election. Now it is a site where grief counselors are trying to console the unconsolable parents, teachers, community people who have all gone there to try to make sense of the unsensible. Quita, I do want to mention that we are learning more about the law enforcement investigation into the events of yesterday, of course, trying to keep a focus on the victims, but also law enforcement is trying to understand what possibly precipitated the shooting. And to that end, we did learn this morning that according to a briefing that top Texas officials received late last night and early this morning, that this 18-year-old gunman, Quita, purchased 2 firearms, 2 AR rifles, just last week immediately after his 18th birthday, as well as nearly 400 rounds of ammunition. So we are expecting later today for law enforcement to update us on the investigation. But again, Quita, what's happening this morning is just so many people. This entire town of 16,000 people, think about that. 16,000 is not that many people. So virtually everyone in this community either directly knows or indirectly knows someone who has been touched by what happened here yesterday in this bloodshed.
And they are all grieving together this morning, as well as the nation is grieving with all of them as well.
Absolutely. You could just see people trying to hug one another, wiping away tears at the Civic Center this morning. I talked to a woman who said God sent her from Houston this morning. She woke up before dawn. She drove all the way from Houston. She said she didn't even really know where to go or what to do, but she just felt led to come here, she said, to help in any way she possibly could.
And I think so many other people around the state are feeling that way as well tonight.
Absolutely.
Tony, thank you.
You bet.
And we are also learning more about others who were inside the school when the shooting started and who are now being treated in hospitals around the area. And University Hospital received 4 patients, the youngest, a 9-year-old girl. Now, 2 of those patients are in serious condition today, and 2 other victims are in critical condition at Brooke Army Medical Center. And yesterday, the Uvalde Medical Center treated 15 people. Now I want to bring in KVUE's Bryce Newberry. He is live from Uvalde High School, where Governor Greg Abbott is set to have a press conference a little later on this afternoon. And Bryce, we've been getting updates and pictures, photos of all of the victims and finding out more about all of those whose lives were so tragically cut short yesterday afternoon.
Quita, that's right. We have been starting to learn more about these victims and really put some stories with the faces, the pictures that we're seeing. It is heartbreaking to see just how young and innocent these children were, but I do want to start with one of the teachers who was killed at Robb Elementary School yesterday. This is a 4th grade teacher that I want to show you first here on your screen. We understand that her name was Eva Mireles. She was a teacher in this district for about 17 years. She taught the 4th grade, like I mentioned, and according to the elementary school's website, she has 1 daughter in college. She's also a wife who loves running and hiking. I also want to show you some of the children whose lives were cut way too short. This is Javier Lopez. He's 10 years old, a 4th grader. His cousin says Javier's mom was at his awards ceremony just about 1 or 2 hours before this shooting happened. You know, this is the end of the school year when there are so many celebrations happening in these classrooms, a time that should have been happy, looking forward to the summer for these students. But like I said, his mother was there for that awards ceremony before this happened. That is the last time that she saw him. Now we also want to show you Usija Garcia. He is an 8-year-old. His grandfather, Manny Renfro, shared these photos. They spent time together on spring break in San Angelo. Also this morning, we want to show you another victim here, Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez. She was 10 years old, a 3rd grader at Robb Elementary. Her family says she was in the same classroom as her cousin at the time of that shooting. We also know of Amarillo Garza. She turned 10 years old just 2 weeks ago on May 10th. Again, we're talking about 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders here. She was a 4th grader at Robb Elementary. Her father, Angel Garza, telling ABC News that she's been found. She's now flying with the angels above and gives advice to all parents: don't take a second for granted. Another victim to show you here. This is Eliahanna Cruz in her softball uniform. We don't have a lot of information about her yet, but she also is one of the people who died in the shooting yesterday. So just seeing those pictures, hearing about some of these young students who had no idea what was in store for them when they went to school yesterday morning, it is so hard to fathom. Quita.
Bryce, it is heartbreaking to see the pictures of those young people who really had no idea that that would be the last time they would be going to school, seeing their families, seeing their parents before a gunman came in and took their lives. Bryce, thank you. And you know what? There are so many people, as Tony was saying earlier, coming here to Uvalde today, wanting to help, wanting to just be there to offer a shoulder to cry on, to grieve with these parents, with this community. And there are many ways that people can help in the Austin area. You can help the people of Uvalde right now with this unimaginable loss. Donating blood and GoFundMes are very impactful ways to start. Now, the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center in Uvalde said it is in critical need of blood donations. We Are Blood in Central Texas says it will hold a blood drive at the state capitol on Thursday, but it is still trying to decide what time that is going to happen.
What we need is help replenishing our inventory immediately to ensure that we're ready for any increased need or any daily need at our hospitals without any kind of impact. So that's why we are ready to lend aid to South Texas as they respond to the need of the victims of the Uvalde shooting to replenish that supply for them should they need it.
Well, we have already seen GoFundMe accounts pop up for the families affected by this tragedy, and all of those accounts are attached to one page on the GoFundMe site. Now, Los Verdes, an Austin FC support group, they started one GoFundMe, and it's already raised more than $6,000. And we've posted these vetted accounts on our website, KVUE.com. And Jenny, I want to toss it back to you in the studio. We will be back with you in just a few minutes here in Uvalde, and we will see you in just a few.
Quita, it took my breath away to see each and every one of the precious child when Bryce is reading the names, so I can only imagine how heartbreaking it is out there in Uvalde today. Thank you for that live report. We'll see you in just a bit. Thank you to Bryce and Tony as well. Well, tonight, an emergency community mourning event will be held at the Texas State Capitol starting at 6 o'clock. The Coalition Austin posted on Instagram that the event is to mourn the lives lost and support one another in this as we face yet another senseless tragedy. The group is asking that people bring candles and flowers to honor those who lost their lives. They say speakers and artists are welcome, and there will also be an open mic. Still to come, we'll have much more coming out of the Uvalde school shooting.
And a cold front that moved through the area is ushering in cooler and drier conditions. In fact, we're trending almost 20 degrees cooler in some portions of the viewing area. I'll show you how long these cooler conditions stick around in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, we've got our cup of questions. Y'all ready to answer some? Let's do it. Who is the wisest?
I'll say Mama.
Your Mama KVUE, yeah. You know why? I think it's because I've lived the longest.
I'm actually older than she is.
I was gonna say.
Who is the most energetic?
I think it's a dead time between Rob and Hannah.
I'm going Rob.
Who gets the hangriest?
You.
The other day, I walked into Rob's dressing room where he gets ready, and the whole trash can was just full of candy wrappers. Literally 100 pieces of candy.
Thomas J. Henry. The name you know, the firm you trust.
The experts at Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries offer free design services to create your perfect room. It's the Memorial Day sale. This week only, get 0% interest financing for 36 months. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
You can't tell a garage door when to break, it just happens. And that's when you call Precision. No, I'm not a paid actor. I can fix your garage door real quick.
Precision Garage Door. Garage doors done right.
In my junior year of high school, I started to suffer from migraines. I was forced to miss out on so much. When Mom found out about a clinical trial for migraine, I said yes. I knew that I wasn't going to get better if I didn't try. There's a new clinical trial for the treatment of migraine for children and teens. See if you qualify.
I'll pick this one up. I earn 3% cash back on dining, including takeout with Chase Freedom Unlimited. So, it's not a problem at all. You guys aren't gonna give me the fake bill fight?
Come on, Kev. You're earning 3% cash back.
Humor me.
Where is my wallet? Where is my wallet? When I gave it to you. What is this? Oh, nope, that's not it either.
No, stop. I insist. That was good, though. Earn big time with Chase Freedom Unlimited with no annual fee. How do you cash back? Chase, make more of what's yours.
The experts at Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries offer free design services to create your perfect room. It's the Memorial Day sale. This week only, get 0% interest financing for 36 months. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
Thomas J. Henry. The name you know, the firm you trust.
Welcome back to KB News Midday, everybody. Now, we want to update you on everything we know so far about the Uvalde school shooting massacre that happened yesterday. At least 21 people are dead, 19 of them students, and 2 of them teachers. Police shot and killed the 18-year-old gunman. Right now, his motive remains unknown. We have team coverage of everything that's going on in Uvalde right now, starting with Quita Culpepper. She is out there live with us. There she is. And Quita, I can't even imagine how the parents and other loved ones, and in fact, the entire community, how are they dealing with this right now?
All right, Jenny, it's hard for me to hear you right now, but I am out here in Uvalde in front of Robb Elementary School, where more and more people are bringing out flowers, balloons, all sorts of things to memorialize the tragedy, the victims that were shot down in their elementary school classrooms in this school yesterday. We have a woman over here who is bringing flowers, giving them to the deputies so they can put them over there beneath the school sign where you see so many other flowers that are being put there today. Now, with the nation reeling from this school shooting, it's now ranked as the second deadliest in the nation behind Sandy Hook. Parents are just left wondering how to appropriately address this tragedy with their children. Natalie Haddad joins us now from the Uvalde Civic Center with advice from a children's psychology expert. Natalie?
Quita, hi. Yes, parents will understandably be scared to send their children to school as we approach summer break. That anxiety and natural reaction to what we saw happen in this small Texas community just yesterday. And parents will also be wondering how to properly address the subject of school shootings with their children. They may be talking to their children about this for the second time or the third time, or maybe even the first time, depending on their child's age and grade. So KVUE spoke with a child psychologist from Texas Children's Hospital, and she provided us with some tips on how to properly address this with your children. Now, Dr. Marnie Axelrad of Texas Children's Hospital says it's important to address the shooting and the feelings you and your children have about it. She suggests explaining the situation in the simplest way possible and on an age-by-age basis. Dr. Axelrad also says when talking about school shootings, it's best to focus on how you are feeling, share that you also don't understand why this happened, and to be especially careful of how you are reacting because children will feed off of it. Now, circling back, she says, really, keep it simple.
For young children, it's very complicated because they can't possibly understand all of the information. And for older children and adults, it's complicated because there's so many feelings that surround it. So many people say, I just feel so sad for those families, or I just feel so angry that this happened, or even I'm really scared for myself. Those are all perfectly valid feelings, and you get to have all of them at the same time.
Now, Dr. Axelrad says it's important to communicate about this calmly and efficiently. And some things you can do is ask open-ended questions, use simple sentences, don't overtalk, and ensure that emergency drills will keep them safe and are in place for a reason. They practice them for an unfortunate reason. Now, from us at KVUE to you, we just want to let you know that we are grieving and mourning alongside you, and we understand that this news is incredibly hard to digest as you see it on your screens across all channels in the coming days and weeks. So if you go to KVUE.com, we have resources that will help you to other mental health resources if you need it, and how to guide these conversations between you and your children. Quita, Jenny.
Good advice, Natalie, for parents, for children, for anyone who is going to need some time and some help to digest this, to get through this, because it's so hard. On May 14th, we had a mass shooting that took 10 lives, and just a couple of weeks later, another mass shooting right here in Texas that stole the lives of so many young children and their teachers. It's almost unfathomable to believe that this keeps happening. And Jenny, I'm going to throw it back to you now. We will be here live in Uvalde throughout the day and throughout the evening. Jenny, back to you.
Quita, well said. We were just getting and digesting news from one shooting, and here we go again. All right, Quita, we'll see you in a little bit. Now, KVUE is staying up to date on the latest in the Uvalde school shooting. When we come back, we'll have much more. Don't go away.
Well, time's 11:21, and we are taking a look at some sunny skies across central Texas as that cold front brought quite a few strong storms across the region yesterday. You're taking a live look out over Lake Travis, where the Sometimes Islands unfortunately still lingering there. We got a decent amount of rain last night, but I don't think it's going to be a drought buster for us. Notice temperatures right now are pretty comfortable in the lower 70s with those dew points in the mid 50s, so it does feel pretty comfortable outside. If you're going to spend any time outdoors in Mother Nature today, go ahead and soak it in. Notice temperatures still sitting in the mid to upper 60s in the hill country. Doppler radar nice and quiet as those temperatures are warmest out in the coastal plain communities, around 74 in LaGrange. As we take a look across the Lone Star State, you can see that cold front's continuing to push out towards the east, that drier and cooler air filtering in behind it. This is going to leave it feeling a lot more comfortable as we go throughout the day today. Let's take a quick look at some of those radar estimated rainfall accumulations. Now, we did see it kind of on trend with the update from yesterday morning, where the rainfall forecast was calling from anywhere from a half an inch to maybe some isolated areas seeing more than 3 inches. Around the Llano areas where we're tracking some of the highest totals along in Burnett County as well, just to the south of Burnett itself. I-35 corridor, we're talking more around 1 to just shy of 3 inches for most areas. Notice a few isolated pockets in Williamson County, just a little bit higher than that. And as we make our way to the coastal plain counties, we're talking maybe 1 inch to 3 inches. So pretty fair overall, but as I mentioned, not going to be busting the drought that we've been experiencing. Still fairly breezy with those winds from the northwest gusting up to almost 30 miles per hour. We'll hold on to slightly breezy conditions throughout the day. Sunshine will be on tap for the afternoon. That's going to allow our temperatures to climb into the upper 70s to lower 80s, but keep in mind that's well below the average of 89 degrees that we typically see this time of year. So these are very comfortable conditions, a lot cooler compared to the past several days, especially due to the fact that we're dealing with lower dew points. Your allergy count, mulberry and oak in the low, grass and mold are in the medium for today. Overnight lows that could be on the cooler side as you make your way to the hill country, maybe some isolated areas dropping into the lower 50s. We're talking mid 50s to lower 60s as you make your way closer to Austin. As we make our way throughout the rest of the week, an area of high pressure is going to build in. That is unfortunately going to ramp up our temperatures as we head into the weekend, but it will also be keeping us on the drier side. So I'm not seeing really any showers or storms in the forecast for the rest of the work week into Memorial Day weekend. Notice our temperatures are going to be on the steady incline. Today is where we're forecasting to be the only day where we stay below that normal high of 89 degrees, warming back up into the mid 90s as we make our way into Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day itself, we're tracking partly cloudy skies, temperatures still in the mid 90s, only about a 10% chance for an isolated shower or storm to pop up at the end of the extended forecast. We'll be right back after the break.
I think we connect.
Nella scuola elementare in Texas.
Welcome back to KVUE, everybody. 11:27 is your time on this Wednesday. And today, Pope Francis spoke out about the Uvalde shooting and prayed for the victims. He says he is heartbroken and called for greater controls on weapons. The crowd in St. Peter's Square for his weekly general audience applauded his appeal after the worst school shooting in the United States in nearly a decade. The Pope has often taken on the weapons industry. In 2015, he said people who manufacture weapons or invest in weapons industries are hypocrites if they call themselves Christians. Here locally, school districts are responding to the shooting as well. Williamson County Sheriff Mike Gleason has placed all detectives and traffic deputies at schools throughout the community. Round Rock ISD Superintendent Javier Lopez, sent a letter to parents last night saying they have emergency plans and procedures to prevent and respond to an active shooter event. Their last day of school, by the way, is tomorrow. Counseling staff and social workers are also available for students in Del Valle ISD. The last day of school for Del Valle is this Friday, just like Austin ISD. Still to come on KVUE News Midday, we are bringing you continued team coverage from Uvalde, Texas. That's where an 18-year-old shot and killed 19 children and 2 teachers. We'll be right back.
The time is 11:31 and we are tracking sunny skies across central Texas as that cold front has continued to push out towards the east and will continue to do so throughout the duration of the afternoon. Taking a live look at some of your conditions across the area right now. Llano sitting sunny and in the 60s, 68 degrees currently. A touch warmer in areas such as Georgetown and Austin in the lower 70s. And as you make your way out toward Lago Vista and San Marcos, we're seeing anywhere from the upper 60s to mid 70s. Now it is worth noting that areas across Travis County are still sitting in the 60s right now. We have several readings in the 69s where Westlake, Lakeview, Oak Hill, even in South Austin, 70 degrees as you make your way out toward the airport. As we are tracking this drier air, it's going to feel unseasonably cool for today. Okay, so we're tracking temperatures that are 16 degrees cooler than 24 hours ago in Llano, 13 in Burnett, 10 in Austin, 11 in Fredericksburg. As we take a look at your dew points, this really helps to tell the story as to why that drier air is filtering in, and so it has a bit more of a chill to it with that northwesterly flow of wind. 48 degree dew points in Llano, so that is considered dry. We're sitting comfortable in the I-35 corridor summer, but we're still dealing with some moisture out in the coastal plains as that cold front has yet to fully exit that area and trudge in that drier air. Many folks might be spending time outdoors today. Just keep in mind we're still tracking a 9 on the UV index, which is considered very high, so just don't forget that sunscreen even if it doesn't feel hot. Speaking of the heat, as we take a look at your high temperatures across Camp Mabry this month, you'll notice 21 days of the month were above average, but we finally had our first below average day on Sunday, with hitting our average high on both Monday and Tuesday. I foresee us reaching the blue today before we go right back up into above average temperatures for the rest of your work week. As we look ahead to your Memorial Day weekend, notice that the sunshine and heat will return. We're talking mid to upper 90s, fair game, with only about a 10% chance for an isolated shower at best. I'm going to have a more in-depth look at the rest of your work week forecast and what you can expect for Memorial Day itself all in just a couple of minutes. Jenny?
Thank you, Shane. It is now 11:33, and on midday, our hearts are heavy as we grieve the 21 victims in Tuesday's mass shooting. 19 of those shot and killed were just children. This tragedy happened in Uvalde, about 80 miles to the west of San Antonio, at Robb Elementary School 2 days before the end of the school year. Officials say the shooter legally purchased 2 AR platform rifles just last week, both bought from a local federal firearms licensee. Now we're hearing from 4th grader Jordan Legess talking about the moments when the gunman began firing shots in his own classroom.
When he sees the students and our teacher, that's when he starts shooting at the window and the wall right there. So he starts shooting it all up. All kinds of smoke is like in the room as we're in there.
Officers arrived on the scene and began exchanging gunfire with the shooter, killing him. A community now grieving as families mourn the lives of those lost. Our team coverage continues right now with Quita Culpepper, who is live in the Uvalde community. And Quita, we just saw that woman with the bouquet of flowers trying to pay her respects to the children. That image just kind of says it all for us.
It really does, Jenny. And hearing the words of that young man who was inside the school when the shooting took place, it just chills your blood. It's something that an adult can barely comprehend, much less a child. Now, there's more people who are actually coming here to the school today to put down flowers to remember all of the victims. You can see there's a crowd over there of one woman who is giving her flowers to the sheriff's deputies, to law enforcement, so they can put them down at the sign next to all of the other flowers that have been laid there this morning. And as you can see, there's still a very heavy police presence here, and that's not going to go away at any time soon. And we want to give you a little more, we want to tell you a little bit more about exactly where Robb Elementary School is. It's right in the middle of a neighborhood, and the shooter apparently was staying about 5 minutes away from this campus when he entered it and took so many lives yesterday morning. Now our own Bryce Newberry is joining us live again from Uvalde High School, where the governor is expected to be speaking in about an hour. And Bryce, I know that those here in Uvalde and across the state, across the nation, are all very interested to hear what Governor Greg Abbott has to say about this latest mass shooting that took so many young lives.
Quita, that's right. A lot of questions for our state's top leaders at this press conference that's now scheduled for about an hour from now. We are expecting to hear from Governor Greg Abbott, like you mentioned. We're also expecting to hear from the Lieutenant Governor. Our Texas state senators, both John Cornyn and Ted Cruz, are expected to be here. Attorney General Ken Paxton also expected to be at this presser in just about an hour from now, fresh off of his election runoff win last night. But we do want to talk about some of the victims this morning, because we are slowly but surely learning from some family members about the lives that were cut short inside of Robb Elementary School yesterday. And again, so many of these young children just getting ready to enjoy the summer. Tomorrow was set to be the very last day of school here in the Uvalde School District. In fact, here at this high school, graduation was set for Friday. That's no longer happening. But let's start with one of the teachers who was killed. She is a 4th grade teacher, Eva Mireles. Her aunt says she was a teacher for about 17 years here in this school district. Again, she taught the 4th grade. And according to the elementary school's website, she has a daughter in college. She is a wife who loves running and hiking. Now, this midday, we're also learning about some of the children whose lives were cut short. This is Javier Lopez, 10 years old, a 4th grader at Robb Elementary School. His cousin says Javier's mom was at his awards ceremony just about an hour or two before this shooting started. That is the last time she saw him, again celebrating the end of the school year. Next, we want to show you Uvalde Garcia. He was an 8-year-old. His grandfather, Manny Renfro, shared these photos. The time they spent together on spring break in San Angelo. Those are when those photos are from. We also have Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez. She was 10 years old, a 3rd grader at Robb Elementary. Her family says she was in the same classroom as her cousin during the time of this shooting. Again, this was a school for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. Annabelle's cousin, Jackie Cazares, also died in the shooting. She was also 10 years old. Then we have Amarillo Garza. She turned 10 years old just 2 weeks ago on May 10th. A lot of 10-year-olds here. She was also a 4th grader at Robb Elementary. Her father, Angel Garza, telling ABC News that she's been found and is now flying high with the angels above. Giving advice to all parents this midday, do not take a second for granted. One other victim that we're learning about this midday is Eliahanna Cruz. This is a photo of her in her softball uniform. We don't have a lot of information about her just yet, but we do know that she was one of the 19 children who died yesterday at Robb Elementary School. Again, we are outside of Uvalde High School right now, expecting to hear from our state's top leaders here in the next hour or so. Again, the governor, the lieutenant governor, our 2 state senators, U.S. senators rather, Ted Cruz and John Cornyn, all of them and more expected to be here giving an update on this tragedy, and a lot of questions from a lot of people right now about what happened and what can stop it from happening again. Quita.
Bryce Newberry live here in Uvalde. Thank you, Bryce. And Jenny, I spoke to so many parents yesterday who couldn't help but shed a tear thinking, what if that was my child? Even if you're not a parent, this affects you in a way that I think nothing else really can, because it's just inconceivable that you send a child off to school thinking they'll be safe, and then you never see them alive again. And we'll be here in Uvalde just continuing coverage of this unspeakable tragedy. Jenny, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Quita, it is absolutely gut-wrenching. Like you said, this affects everyone. You know, when my son left for school, I held him for a few seconds longer because of what happened yesterday. And I know so many other parents out there feeling the same sadness of this horrendous event. Quita, thank you so much. And we will be right back.
Welcome back to KVUE News Midday, everyone. And you know what? It is a very scary time for parents across the country. And many are left wondering just how you're supposed to appropriately address something like this with your children. Well, Natalie Haddad is also here in Uvalde with us today, and she is live from the Uvalde Civic Center with advice from a children's psychology expert on how to speak with your child about this. Natalie?
Hi, Quita. That's right. We're outside the Civic Center where we've seen family members, members of the community, law enforcement in and out of this building, resources located inside, therapy dogs also out here, just comforting anyone who needs that right now. And of course, everyone here certainly does. You know, people across the country, parents specifically, are naturally very scared to send their children off to school this week as we approach summer break. That fear and anxiety, a natural reaction to what we saw happen in this small Texas community just yesterday. And parents are also going to be wondering how to properly address the subject of school shootings with their children. This may be the second or third time they are talking to their children about this, or maybe it's the first, depending on their age and their grade. So KVUE spoke with a child psychologist at Texas Children's Hospital, and she offered some advice and guidance on how to go about these conversations. Now, Dr. Marnie Axelrad of Texas Children's Hospital says it is important to address the shooting and the feelings you and your children have about it. She suggests explaining the situation in the simplest way possible and on an age-by-age basis. Dr. Axelrad also says when talking about school shootings, it's best to focus on how you are feeling, share that you also don't understand why this happened, and to be especially careful too of how you are reacting, because children will feed off of those reactions. So circling back, Dr. Axelrad says to keep it simple.
Really monitoring emotional responses with your children. It's okay to say that you're having feelings too. It's less okay to be getting your own support from your children. And so making sure that you're doing the things that you need to do as an adult, as a parent, to support yourself. You're getting enough sleep. You're eating enough healthy food, you're talking to your friends, or doing whatever it is that you do to cope.
Now, some things you can do is ask open-ended questions, use simple sentences, don't overtalk, and ensure that emergency drills that are in place at school will also keep them safe. Now, from us at KVUE to you, we understand that this news is incredibly hard to digest, and it will be in the coming days and weeks as you continue to see it on your screen across all channels. And know that we are mourning and grieving alongside you. And on our website, KVUE.com, we have resources, mental health resources, and tips on how to better go about these conversations with your children. We'll be right back.
The story
We're seeing conditions quickly clear across central Texas after that cold front that arrived late last night through this morning. Over Lake Travis, we still see the sometimes islands, and unfortunately it wasn't a drought buster for us across the area. If you're taking a look at your lake levels, I'll step out of the frame here. You can see 83% capacity out at Lake Buchanan, 61% still out at Lake Travis. We'll continue to monitor the lake levels over the coming days. Right now, Doppler radar nice and quiet. Temperatures on the comfortable side in the mid 60s to lower 70s. Warmest areas out in Fayette County at 74, currently sitting at 71 in Austin. But keep in mind those dew points are a lot lower due to that drier air behind the cold front. This means it feels a lot more comfortable as you step outside. Now we do foresee today being a below average day in regards to our temperatures, but we saw quite a bit of rain last night that was above average, anywhere from ½ inch to just around 3 inches for most areas in the hill country. As we make our way to the I-35 corridor, it was more between 1 to 3 inches for the most part, with isolated higher totals in Williamson County, and then our coastal plain communities saw also anywhere from 1 to 3 inches. As I mentioned, not a drought buster, but we'll take every bit of rain that we can get. It was also rather breezy last night. We recorded gusts up to 71 miles per hour out at the airport, still seeing gusts up to 30 miles per hour currently. Your hourly forecast has temperatures climbing into the lower 80s this afternoon, about 9 degrees below the average for this time of year. Area wide, we'll be sitting in the upper 70s to lower 80s with more sunshine for the back half of the day. Your allergy count, grass and mold in the medium, everything else in the low category, with your overnight lows on the comfortable side and cooler side in the mid 50s to lower 60s. High temperatures over the next 5 days will be on the incline as an area of high pressure builds in just in time for Memorial Day weekend. That'll be bringing back the sunshine and temperatures back into the upper 90s. We're right back after the break.
When it comes to personal injury attorneys,
Shane Hinton joins me now, and you know what? It's a beautiful day outside.
It is. I think everyone should take some time, go for a walk, breathe in that fresh air, just kind of decompress from a heavy.
And tell everyone you love them. Have a